Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and these images really pretty much sum up Indiana's passion and love for the game of basketball. It's called the Hoosier Hardwood Project, and it's taken 7 years, 50,000 miles traveling around the state, and some 400,000 digital frames to bring it to life. If you're looking for a break from pandemic-related information, and who isn't, then perhaps a trip through Indiana basketball history could offer a much-needed respite. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill?
Gary, thanks. And that break might be found by turning the pages of Chasing Indiana's Game, the Hoosier Hardwood Project, a collection of photographs and essays about more than 100 gymnasiums that have hosted Indiana basketball over the years. And joining me today to discuss the book, to be released by Indiana University Press next week, are photojournalist and co-authors Chris Smith and Michael King. And gentlemen, welcome to the program. We appreciate you coming on.
Thanks very much. Glad to be here.
Chris, we're going to start with you because the genesis of this book was back in 2013, and you saw a photograph of your father, who was the student manager for the 1937 team in Versailles, Indiana, and the light went on. You, a career photojournalist, you thought, I need to get some more of these. Just talk about how that all came about.
Well, we all like to pursue personal projects, and I found this photograph of my father's high school basketball team, the Versailles Frenchies. And in the picture, you could see the gym in the background. I thought, well, I wonder if that gym's still around. It'd be interesting to kind of go photograph some old high school basketball gyms in Indiana, knowing what an important place they'd played in the state's history. And I had worked with Michael through my employment at Northern Kentucky University, and I asked him if he wanted to go photograph a few basketball gyms, and that's how we started.
Yeah, and then more than a few, because I think you've gone to 300 gyms. And Michael, just talk about, with this, again, this incredible number of historic basketball places in Indiana. I mean, how do you begin to even cut it down to a manageable number for the book?
Well, at the end of the day, Probably the best parts of the book are left on the cutting room floor. Not really, but we probably could do at least a couple more books based on just things that did not make it into this book. But I think what we looked at here when we were putting this book together, if you look page to page and facing pages and turning them, each of these pictures on the facing pages have sort of a kinship. It may be in tone or in color, or in contrast, from meaning that one could be in a barn and another might be in a grand gym somewhere in Indiana, some high school gym. And so I think that we tried to pace and position the pictures so that they had a rhythm along with the words that went with them. And most every place that we've been, we have an interesting story to tell, so that you end up in the middle of the book. In my section, the book's divided into two sections. Chris's photographs are in the first half. I'm in the second half. And he got to be first. He drove the car. So, but in my section, there's an essay about the Fieldhouse in Newcastle. And I was there for a sectional championship game between Connersville and Newcastle. The place was jam-packed full, nearly 8,000 people there. And it really showcased the whole idea of what Indiana basketball has been and what it still is at certain times of the year when you get the tournament.
Yeah, and Chris, I mean, Michael mentions grand gyms in Newcastle, but Seymour, Southport, I mean, we have some of the largest, in fact, I think 9 of the 10 largest high school gymnasiums in the country. But we also have grand, smaller places that took on life bigger than life, like the Hoosiers gym over in KNIGHTSTOWN.
Right. And we have a history of great architecture in these gyms. We discovered a number in southern Indiana that were actually sunken gyms. In other words, that most of the gym was built underground, kind of an architectural philosophy that came from an architect down in the southwest part of the state. And, it spread all the way from the Newcastles all the way down to some barns that we photographed where where players got together on the weekends to shoot. So we've kind of covered the gamut here.
Well, and we need to point out that it will be released by IU Press this week. It was part of the Indiana Historical Society's bicentennial exhibit. So we wish you both the best. And again, I can't wait to get my copy as I spend a nice afternoon leafing through Indiana hardwood history. So it's called Chasing Indiana's Game, the Hoosier Hardwood Project. Chris Smith and Michael Keating, we appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
And Gary, back to you.